welcome to This Is Metal with Tom Collier. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and my co-host, of course, is Tom Collier. And our special guest today, it's our honor to have on the show Foghat Bassist Rodney O Quinn. Now, Rodney, I got to tell you, in the past, I've had the opportunity to interview Roger about 2 times, and he's a super nice guy. And when we went to set up the interview, I reached out to your publicist, Rose, and she's telling me, well, Roger's not available, but would you mind interviewing somebody else? I said, you know what, Rose? We're more than willing to interview any member of Foghat because we just love Foghat at This Is Metal so much. And so I understand you have been with the band since 2015. So why don't we start off you telling us how you got the Foghat gig?
Well, some of the crew guys, because Craig, every now and then he'd be busy when he was managing his son's band. So every now and then he'd all of a sudden, well, we got to get someone to fill in because Craig's going to go do this. But it just so happened, actually, is some of the crew guys would always go, you should get Rodney. And I would run into him at the time. We tell him all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they really did, but they were telling me that. But I'd actually, when I was still with Pat Travers, I actually played in Craig's hometown on a weekend. He was home.
Okay.
His wife came out and, stayed all night, had a great time. And then finally he's like, well, what time are you leaving tomorrow? I said, well, I'm not leaving town till probably about 11. He goes, well, I'll tell you what. He goes, your hotel's right around the corner from where I live. He goes, so I'll pick you up at 7:30. I'll take you back to my house and I'll cook you breakfast. Me, my whole thing is like, well, hey, this is cool as hell. I'm going to go hang out with Craig McGregor and he's going to fix me breakfast.
Wow, yeah.
But we sat and talked and hung out. And then towards the end of the conversation, he was kind of like, because if the position became available, would you be interested?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I don't want to see you go nowhere, but
yeah.
Okay, you can put my name in. I didn't really think much about it, but a couple of months later, management called me and I was thinking, hey, let's put the wheels in motion. And unfortunately, by then it was a health issue with Craig. Of course. Yeah. But it was just like, and that was the thing Roger always says. As soon as Craig I left, Craig gets on the phone with him. Always like, oh, you should just use Rodney.
Wow.
Just mini me.
Well, I mean,
I had the blessing.
So he picked his replacement. He picked his replacement.
Well, the cool part to me is, I was 11 when I first started playing bass, and Foghat Live had just come out.
Yeah, oh, wow.
That was one that I kept picking up the needle, trying to figure out what the heck is he doing, And I played all the time. Then you fast forward in life, and it's like that guy basically is like hand picking me. How does that happen?
I mean, you're living the dream. I mean, it's got to be a crazy feeling that you grew up on this music. You're a fan of this band. You go from being a fan to now you jumping up on stage. Go from being an audience member to a member of the band.
I did. Here's my goofy ass Mark Wahlberg moment.
Yeah.
I used to have posters of these guys on my wall. One of them.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I'm going to throw it to you, Tom. So what would you like to ask Rodney?
So I see that. Did you ever get a chance to meet Kim Simmons? I know he had a lot to do with the beginning of Foghat. Kim was a friend of mine. I actually played with Kim, and I knew Jeff Hall too very well. So I mean, it's Foghat is just such a great band. I was curious. Did you know Kim? You said?
Oh yeah. Got to meet him several times. I was in on the tail end of the Under the Influence release that we did. I was on the tail end of that. Most of the bass parts were done. I only recorded 2 on that one. And but Kim was around, and then when we did the release, because he did some stuff on that one.
Yes.
So when we did the album release party at BB King's in New York City, he was there. And then we also did we did a lot of shows together, and before Kim's health started getting against him. We would do a Savoy Brown Foghat double bill. Great guy. I mean, fantastic. And it was a very sad moment. He
lived about 30 minutes from me. He lives up in Oswego County. I live outside of Oswego, and Kim grew up there. And I did some shows when he'd play out here at Savoy, and I'd open up for him and stuff like that. Just the nicest guy in the world, phenomenal guitar player. And he recorded in Subcat Studios in Syracuse. A good friend of mine owns that, Ron Keck. So
Okay.
and I recorded my albums in there too. So we would run into each other. Just a great guy. You know, I
Yeah,
was curious about
super,
this.
super guy.
Yeah.
Great player. What a feel.
Oh
What
yeah,
a
he did.
feel.
Nobody had that feel like him. Just such a
Yeah.
incredible. I watched him record his last album. I was in there first couple of his tracks. And I was sitting there going, it was like one take. I said, Jesus
Yeah,
Christ. I'm like, this guy is just such a finesse player. And he's
Right.
played with such feeling. It was just amazing. You know, being a lead guitar player.
Finesse, that's a great word to describe his playing, because he
Yeah, so
definitely
that's what I was
finesse.
curious about. Yeah, I was curious if you knew him, and it's great that you did. I thought you probably
Yeah.
did and had worked with him, and I knew they worked together, you know. So
Yeah, they had they still had a great relationship. From what I saw, I mean, there might have been a period of time that was a little ill, but if it was, they got way beyond it,
Yeah.
as we all should.
Yeah.
We're only here for one spin around this thing, so.
That's right. That's right. And you know what I love, Rodney, is the fact not only is Foghat a band that's been around all these years, but like many bands, you guys could have made the choice to, we're just gonna go out and play the greatest hits there. I love the fact that even though you don't release a new album every single year, you guys are, continuing to put out new music. I mean, like I said, the new one, Sonic MOJO, comes out this Friday. I'm looking so forward to it. And I mean, it's already, I know, going to be so different from the last album, because big change in the band is also you got a new lead singer.
Yeah. Charlie, once he hit the 20-year mark, he decided he was, ready to kind of retire from it. I kind of felt it was coming, because every now and then he would talk with me, and his whole thing is he was like, I would be just fine if we only did like 20, maybe 30 shows a year. He goes, but you're new in the band and you're all excited and you want to play all you can. So there was a little bit of writing on the wall, but and every now and then change is good.
And that's what I was going to say, because Charlie really fit in the band, and what's unique is I've been hearing the new tunes that are up on YouTube off the new album, and it's a new singer, but it doesn't sound like Charlie. But again, you don't necessarily need to do that. And yet, right. It sounds great in its own. It doesn't sound like such a drastic change. It's kind of just the progression of the band,
Yeah, it just kind of morphed nicely. And it's really working great live. There's a whole new energy level on stage, and everybody has fun. It's just like one of those what do you call it? One of your injectors have kind of been plugged for a while.
Yeah.
And now firing on all cylinders.
There you go. I love that. Now, was there an audition process? Like, was it a cattle call of singers, or did you guys?
No, actually, Scott had been and Roger had a friendship for a long time. I guess they met maybe in 14, or something like that. And I can't remember exactly how they met, but it was roughly about that time. And they were doing a little thing called Earl and the Agitators. So basically they got together and it's like, hey, let's write some songs. And it was kind of like, hey, we'll see where it goes. Kind of like a side thing.
Sure.
And of course it became the, hey, we'll be Earl and the Agitators. And so we actually released CDs there. And we did some shows. The only thing that was weird is we did some blues festivals. And at one point it was like, because we would schedule trying to break a new bands, like, I'm involved. So we were tying it with Foghat shows as well. So we might, as much as possible, we would do something with our own Agitators the day before, then the next day do Foghat. The crazy part was the only thing that was different was we had a different lead singer. So the weird thing, there was one blues festival we did where it was like literally Earl and the Agitators, then Savoy Brown played. And then we came out as Foghat and played. You could see people scratching their heads going,
wait, is that the same band? Same band? Yeah, I love that.
But actually some of the stuff that was recorded on their only Agitator CDs was really, really good music. But like I said, trying to break something new is like unheard of.
And then no matter how much you try to separate the two, There are those
Yeah.
people out there that are gonna still call it Foghat.
Yeah, but this here now is, it's morphed
Is it
into
is,
what
yeah.
it is now. So, if we wanted to, we can actually go back and revisit some of those songs that was
Yeah.
done with our own agitators. It's all,
Yeah,
it's
sure.
all us.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
That's how they met, and it was all about, let's write some songs together. And then Scott got a hold of them about some other little recording project that was going to involve this Dark Horse Studios in Nashville.
Okay. Wow.
Tom Hambridge, he engineered it and helped produce it, and that's how he got involved with the Under the Influence album with Foghat. And then, Under the Influence had guest artists on it, which Scott actually played guitar on a couple songs there and actually sang a couple songs on that.
Wow, okay.
So it just kind of morphed,
that's cool. Yeah.
I think it's just one of those things. It's like, whether we all knew it or not, it was like just a work in progress, it just unfolded.
And let's talk about some of the classic Foghat songs. I mean, I mean, the all-time favorite's got to be "Slow Ride," it's amazing when you realize that song is over 50 years old. But I just love Roger's drum beat that runs all through that song.
Right. It's a great tune. There's so many great songs, more so than what people realize.
Yeah.
It's the one thing we've been having fun with too this year. We've kind of, you're stuck with your show that you've got to do Slow Ride, Fool for the City, I Just Want to Make Love to You,
Yeah.
Blue. Well, those 4 songs can eat up, 40, 45 minutes of your show because they're all long. So we started bouncing around and looking at different things, and then part of the thing that's a little bit different too with Foghat right now is in the live shows. I step up and sing lead on a couple songs as well. So I made it a point to go like deep in the archives and find stuff. So like I've been doing, came off of In the Mood for Something Rude record, 80s, Slip Trip Fell in Love. So doing that was like an MTV video. That was like the last MTV videos Foghat did. So I did that one, and people are totally digging that. And then from Boogie Motel, Somebody's Been Sleeping in My Bed.
I love that. Yeah.
The previous year, when Scott first came in, I was doing Third Time Lucky, which was off that same record.
Wow.
But I've been thinking about the new year coming up, and I want to dig back to the rock and roll.
Yeah, there you go. That's
the second to do What a Shame.
There you go. Let me tell you about some of my favorite deep cuts. I mean, I'll go all the way back to the beginning. One of my all-time favorites, Teleplane Blues. I love the cover they did. This is going way back, and a lot of people might not even be aware. Did a great cover of That'll Be the Day.
Oh, yeah. I've been looking at all that stuff, just looking. It's like, let's find something.
Maybelline, that's another great one.
Maybelline, we did Maybelline. The last year Charlie was in the band, we did Maybelline. There's a lot of great stuff for sure.
Yeah, as great as those deep cuts and those classic tunes are, again, another great thing about Foghat is you guys continue to pump out new music maybe every 7 years, but the new one that's coming out this week, I mean, I've heard like 3 or 4 tracks off of it, all killer what I've heard so far, so I've kind of got that feeling it's all going to be good. But how hard is that coming up with a set list of the classics, the stuff you got to play, the deep cuts and the new stuff?
Well, like I said, that's the hard challenge, because the key ones that you have to play, they're all long. And that's what people expect, them long songs. I mean, I Just Want to Make Love to You, the version we play of it live, I mean, I think that's 9 minutes right there. Right, is definitely 8 minutes.
And people don't realize that's a cover. I mean, that originally I think was done by Willie Dixon, the guy who wrote it, I think originally.
Right, Willie Dixon wrote that song, right? Yeah.
And you guys, well, I mean, Foghat the band, they did such a great job when they recorded that. I mean, they really own that song, but a lot of people think it's a Foghat song, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah. Well, I went through that with when I played with Pat Travers. Pat had recorded for a compilation record Black Betty by Ram Jam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most
Yeah.
people don't know who Ram Jam is. Now we started playing it live,
Yeah.
and people were losing their mind because they're thinking that was the band that originally did it.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny because we played it a little bit, and then Pat got a little aggravated. He was like, well, these people, I didn't even write the song, and they're getting all excited about it, And I'm like, oh, well, you didn't write "Boom Boom Out Go the Lights" either, but you still play that.
That's your signature tune. Yeah. Yeah.
So then we got beyond it, and then it was like a must play, But the beauty about Pat, just like on these Foghat tunes, when we do remakes, it takes a whole new life, a whole new direction.
Yeah. And
so,
Foghat version was almost kind of a disco song. I don't know, disco kind of bluesy song, but it was great, for what it is. Again, that's one of my Fool in the City, like you said. What are some of your favorite Foghat tunes, Tom?
You guys just named them all, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I've seen Foghat live so many times, and it was great. Actually, I missed you guys at the New York State Fair this year. A bunch of friends of mine, but I was in the recording studio. I was going to try to make it over to see you guys when you guys played in Syracuse. Everybody said you guys put on a great show up there.
Yeah, that was great there. It was a great show that day. You missed it. Man,
Yeah.
there was this one note I played. It was impeccable.
Yeah.
And I missed it. Damn. I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
Right.
So you guys are going to be heading out touring to support the new album?
Yes. It's getting released towards the end of the year when you would think we're starting to slow down, but actually we're only, just tapering a little bit, but then all of a sudden January will start popping again. I know we're going to play this Sunday, the 12th at the Iridium in New York City.
Okay.
That's our first release show. And then the following weekend, we're playing the Coach House in San Juan Capistrano, California.
Oh, wow.
Just south of LA.
Yeah.
You should go see him, Jason. He's on your
Yeah. And then after that, I know, I think once we roll into December, I think we only have like 3 shows and we're off to the first of the year. But dates are already filing in, pretty steady for the beginning of the year.
I mean, Foghat is one of those bands you guys are constantly touring, constantly playing. I mean, it's awful and sad as it is to say. I mean, most of the guys in the band, the only way they're not in the band is, when they pass on. But one thing I got to say about Foghat is, I kind of equivalent this band to like a Lynyrd Skynyrd, where like Lynyrd Skynyrd, there's not like one original member. You guys at least got Roger Earl, but it's almost kind of like a family, if you know what I mean. And it's more about who's in the band, if you know what I'm saying, and more about the celebration of the music.
Well, that's the way we always view it. That's what it's about, because you got your haters. Haters are going to hate.
Yeah.
And in most cases, if you got a hater hating on you, if you go and look at their Facebook profile, they're just a frustrated guitar player that never But people are just going to be that way, But the whole thing is, it's like, well, would you much rather the music just die?
Yeah.
And Brian said something the other day. He was talking about an interview he did. Somebody was asking about it. Oh, you're just a tribute band. And his whole thing is, it's like, well, to him, he's like, I've really been involved with Foghat about 27, 28 years now. I think I'm kind of like a real staple to it. He goes, but the whole thing is, he equated it to an NFL team. You got your favorite NFL team.
There you go.
Kicking ass, 15 years ago. And of course, now they've had player changes, this, that, the other, or are they a tribute? They're still the same team.
and not only do I love the music and the fact you guys are still out there doing, but Foghat is also one of the band. People may joke, but I mean, you play arenas, you play festivals, you play the tiniest of clubs, you play the state fair. You guys are willing to go wherever they want you to play.
My saying's always been, if the money's right, we're playing in the bathroom at the Waffle House.
Yeah, another great thing, Rodney, is the fact that Foghat is one of those bands that you can play with. You're a type band that can play with a lot of different types of bands. You could play with a blues band. You could play with a rock band, a hard rock band.
Yeah. We've done some really cool dates, since I've been with the band. We've done shows with ZZ Top, Cheap Trick, George Thorogood. That's a great package with us and George Thorogood together. You know, people love that. This past weekend we played with Grand Funk.
Wow,
Grand
that's
Funk
a
Railroad. They go by Grand Funk Railroad.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So we played with Grand Funk Railroad. A couple of weeks ago, we were with Mickey Thomas's Starship.
Oh wow.
You know,
Okay.
so that's a real different mix there because you know they're playing a lot of the '80s hits and stuff of Starship, and they
Built this
dip
city.
back
Yeah,
a
all
little.
that.
They dip back a little and play some of the, you know, old Jefferson Starship and maybe touch a little bit on Jefferson Airplane. But
Wow,
the
wow.
main focal point of it was really, you know, the 80s MTV era
Sure.
of Starship. You know, so that's a real different twist from us.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you the craziest combination of us doing a show, and it actually worked, was us and Dwight Yoakam.
Wow.
Totally. You know, I was like, I don't know about this. You know, did the people booking this realize we're a rock band and he's not?
Yeah.
But that was a great package deal. It would suit me just fine if we did more.
Yeah.
You know, his fans ate it up and it just crossed over great. It was real crazy, but I was like, wow.
Yeah.
The power of music, man, the power of music.
And so how involved is everybody in creating the set list? I mean, is you guys pretty much play the same set? Is everybody in the band get a say?
No, we all get a say, you know. I mean, like I said, obviously there's certain ones that's got to be there. At the beginning of each year, we'll discuss, hey, you know, let's try to change something here or there. This year we've already kind of worked in, we're playing 3 of the new songs live already.
Right, yeah.
So we've actually, in rooms where we can get away with it, we actually have been playing longer shows.
Wow.
You know, normally our max show is 90 minutes.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Here we've gotten up to an hour and 50 now.
Yeah, wow, I love that. Giving the fans not only what they want but more. Now, you said you were involved a little bit with the Under Your Influence album, a couple tracks, but you were involved in this whole album. What was that like? I understand Foghat, you guys got your own recording studio down there in Florida.
Right,
so
right.
What's that like?
Well, this still was a little different venture for me because there was some of this stuff these guys would flesh out some ideas because this all came about because Roger was going to have shoulder surgery.
Okay.
So the whole thing was management's like, you know, you really need to put a record out.
Yeah.
So it became this crisis thing all of a sudden. Well, let's just record some stuff. And at first it's like, hey, we still got some leftover tracks from the Earl and the Agitator days. And, you know, but then it was like, well, let's do this or let's do that. But there was a certain amount of it that was just kind of, you know, they fleshed it out. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, can you come up and put bass parts down? Well, okay.
yeah, that's my part.
It worked out great. It was kind of this one was a little bit of a piecemeal project, so to speak, because we were on this deadline of we had just did a bunch of run of dates and there was a small window to get drum tracks done. So that was like the forefront focus.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got the drum tracks and got good solid drum tracks. And then there was some areas it's like, okay, we kind of wrote it this way. Okay, but now we're going to have to fix it so it works here, you know. Because you know we didn't do any on that aspect of it. We didn't do no cut and paste. You know, we did like a scratch guitar track, and even though at that point, hey, the drums are solid. Okay, at this point it gets weird. Mute the guitar a second. Yeah, we can work with that. You know, and then we went from there. But you know, it came together, and it's actually quite.
And again, I think, you know, let your ears be the judge, and the proof is in the pudding. But you know, talking about the sound of the new songs. But how do you feel that you and Roger are as a rhythm section? I mean, you guys seem pretty tight.
Yeah, it's Roger. We were talking about this the other day. Roger he's got a real swagger to his playing, and it's hard, and that's what makes the Foghat sound what it is. I mean, because there's certain songs that's like a rock beat, but then it's got this swaggery little shuffle thing too.
Like a blues shuffle,
yeah. What are you doing there? You know, it's almost like you can't explain what he's doing, but it's there. You know.
Yeah. I mean, like I was listening to some of the new tracks. She's a little bit of everything, which I think was the first single off of the new album. That's really kind of got a rock and kind of a typical Foghat sound now. But the second single, Driving On, to me, that's not so much of a rock sound. You got rock elements, but much more like of a blues thing going on.
Yeah, it's almost kind of got like one of them ZZ Topish type.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, bounce and boogie shuffle.
There you go.
Yeah. Nah, there's a lot of times I look back at Roger and he's got that big grin on his face while we're playing and stuff, and you know, and we just have a ball playing
Even
together.
just listening to those two tracks, I mean, what I love about it is just when you, as a Foghat fan, think you know what the Foghat sound is, they give you a little something like Driving On. It's like, okay, yeah, they're going back to their roots. They're going back to that blues sound.
We stretched in a few different directions on this, and we got this another song that was a single released already is I Don't Appreciate You.
I love that. That is so different
You
from.
could almost say that's like borderline, hey, we're exploring our punk roots.
There you, yeah. When I heard that, I thought, you know, this is, I love this, but it is so different, and that's what I loved about it. It was even like Driving On and She's a little bit. It's got a lot of. They're different, but they got more similarities. But then the other one you said, I don't appreciate. I mean, that is so different, but yet that's what I loved about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's a lot of different things on there. We did a remake of Mean Woman Blues, but it's almost got a Latinish feel to it that someone I was talking to just the other day were hearing. They go, you know, that almost sounds like some early days Santana influences coming through.
Yeah, there you go.
And then we actually Roger's brother Colin, which, you know, he's from, you know, he's a piano player. He goes way back to the Mungo Jerry days, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in the summertime. Yeah. But he had wrote a song about like a Hank Williams show that
Wow.
he wished he could have went to.
Okay. Yeah.
We ended up doing that. So we actually got something that even tinges a little bit extra on like getting close to a countryside.
Yeah. So who would be your kind of bass heroes, the guys that influenced you to do what you're doing now?
I mean, come on, Craig.
Well, Craig, but I
Craig
mean, like when you were
McGregor
growing
was,
up.
you know, one of my early influences. And I tell a lot of people all the time, and I've even heard Billy Sheehan make this comment, like talking to people, if you really want to listen to somebody, you really want to understand a bass player's job, listen to Cliff Williams of AC/DC.
Yeah.
You know,
He's a great one.
Yeah. But yeah, there's so many great players out there. It just depends on what flavor I'm into, the one I want to listen to. I'll go through my Motown moments. I'll go through as much as we all wanted to hate disco when disco came out, you go back and listen to it now and go, man, damn, there was some great shit there. But of course, they were really playing. Nowadays, you know, nowadays I don't know if anyone plays anymore.
And that's the cool thing about Foghat. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys, like I said, you have your own studio. You go down, everybody gets in the same room. It's not like everybody mails in their parts.
Right. Yeah, we get to get in the same room, and that's our thing. We're actually, you know, our manager is already pulling her hair out thinking about it, but it's like, you know, let's try recording next time this way and we'll do this, you know. So I could definitely see us, you know, wanting to get back in and do something again soon. And maybe the approach next time, instead of doing a full-blown release, it might be every so often just to drop a new single.
Yeah.
You know, here and there. So
yeah, you know, I heard in a recent interview Roger did, he was talking about, he was a little surprised when Charlie announced he was leaving. But another thing I got to point out that I love about Foghat is, of course, a lot of people want, when they do an interview, they want to talk to Roger because he's a founding member. He's the last original guy. But what I love about Foghat is, like, you guys are like, you can feel the chemistry. The band loves one another. It feels like you guys are really tight. Like, I love the fact that he's not the only one going out and doing interviews. That everybody else kind of gets to take part in that. And you get to hear other guys kind of tell their story.
Right. Well, you know, I was thinking when someone goes, hey, we want to do an interview with you. And like when the Rose calls me to say, hey, you know, we got to schedule here. I'm like, really? You sure they want to talk to me?
Well, like me and Tom always say, there's nobody really we're willing to turn down. If somebody wants to do an interview with us, why not? You know?
Oh, that's it, man.
Yeah.
That's it. You know,
I mean, you got a story to tell, right, Rodney? And I love the fact that we're talking to you, and you've been with the band since 2015, and you're all on this new album, so why not, talk to you?
Like you said, a lot of people, they want to focus on the original people. Of course, right now, like I said, Roger's obviously the number one person everyone wants to
Sure.
talk to. Why not? He's very interesting.
Of course.
You never
Yeah,
know
you
what
got
he's going to
stories to
say
tell. I
next.
mean, yeah. I mean, even somebody coming in, then I imagine you've had the opportunity to hear about him tell those stories, and now you're traveling with him. You're part of the band. You guys are making stories.
Right.
You're making music
Right.
together. Yeah.
But a lot of people want to talk with Brian, because that's a lot of time. A lot of these things, guitar players, and it's unique. Brian's a phenomenal slide player, and that's something there's not that many people of,
Yeah.
And of course, his history between Wild Cherry, Molly Hatchet, 27, 28 years with Foghat.
That's quite a resume. Wow.
Yeah, of course, you have Scott in the band now. I mean, Scott spent 10 years playing with Buddy Guy.
Wow, not too shabby.
No, not at all. Then there's me. But now
Pat
before I came
Travers.
along, before I
Fact,
came along, I played with Pat, from 07 to actually I did almost a solid year. I did double duty. So from July of 15 to June of 16, I was bouncing between the two.
well,
So
you're known, Rodney, believe it or not, because when we announced that we were going to have you on the show, one of our viewers commented on our Facebook page. You got to be sure to ask him about his days with Pat Travers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Hey man, that's some great times.
Yeah.
I tell you what, there was a point. There was out of all the years I played with Pat, there was a 5-year period where it was Pat, myself, Sandy Gennaro, which he originally replaced Tommy Aldridge back in the early 80s.
Wow.
He came back in, and then there was a second guitar player, Kurt McKim, a phenomenal guitar player. Ever since he left Pat, he plays with the Boxmasters, which is Billy Bob Thornton, the actor.
Wow.
He has a band called the Boxmasters, so Kurt records and tours with him.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of diehard old Travers fans. That was their whole thing. This was like the second coming of the Pat Travers Band.
There you go. Yeah.
Record.
Yeah.
So that was pretty flattering, an honoring feeling. And then I know there was we recorded live at the Iridium. Funny, I'm going back to the Iridium, but we had recorded live at the Iridium when we played there when I was with Pat. And every now and then I'll go back and listen to it. And it's like, damn, we were whipping ass,
Oh, wow.
So, it was definitely cool. And then while I played with Pat, I got the opportunity, because I handled Pat's business. At one point I had put a tour package together with a promoter where we, as Pat's band, was the core band that played behind Derek St. Holmes, which, sang for Ted.
Of course.
Ronnie Montrose.
Wow.
Mark Farner.
Yep.
And then Pat. So we would sell this package to like a festival thing. So basically you're only dealing with one back line, X amount of hotel rooms, and quick changeovers, and you're getting, 4 45-minute sets.
Wow, that's amazing.
So for me, Sandy, and Kirk, it was a workout because it was like 45 on, 30 off.
Yeah.
And then we would come out and play behind each artist.
That's
That was a
great.
pretty cool concept, but it was really neat getting to play with Ronnie and Mark.
Oh, wow. Hey, Rodney, we're going to have you back because we only got 3 minutes. The computer's about ready to cut off. But let's keep in touch. I want to have you back on, okay?
Hit me up anytime, man.
Okay, so take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
Take care.
All right, bud. We'll see.